Just waiting on a couple of people here. I'm shuffling the cards. I don't really need the cards, but I have them to keep me calm. Okay. Let's take a look at waiting on a few people more before I begin. I need everybody to just try to assuage your fears and put them aside, please, because it makes it easier for me to see what's going on. Okay? So we need everybody to put their fears aside just for the moment while I take a look. Let's wait on a couple more people and then we'll begin. Waiting on a couple more people. Okay. I'm ready to make a few statements. Okay, first of all, I understand that everybody's freaking out and we're wondering if we're even going to have a country worth talking about after the next couple of months, but I still believe that the universe isn't going to just abandon us. I think this was necessary in order to draw out certain activity that was actually taking our spirit and our soul group as a collective and diminishing everything that we're working towards. Look, I don't like politics. I never have. That's why I never registered to vote. I mean, yes, because I didn't want to be biased when I was looking psychically at certain things on the elections, but it was more because I just didn't believe in the electoral process. You know, it's not like it was back in the day, 200 years ago, when we were voting for something and it actually counted. Now it's whoever's pretty much in charge of taking control. And control isn't the idea. That's, control has been synonymous with a monarchy, a sovereignty, and those countries that were not able to fight against such things. But we got to remember the spirit that we were born in. We were born in a spirit here in America to fight. We were fighting the established regime. This is no different. We got a little lazy. We got a little accustomed to having all our stuff. And we forgot to be grateful. We forgot to be grateful for all that we have. And things got out of hand. So usually when this happens, there's either biblical proportion weather events or floods or fires or earthquakes or, biblical on a scale of people, just not paying attention to what's going on. And they become very lax and they become very comfortable with a situation, and that they're just not looking because they're so self-absorbed with their own lives and what's going on there. They forgot to look outside the box. a lot of what's going on has to do with the fact that we've become negligent as a country, as a collective, as a world force. I don't believe in either party. I think the party system should be abolished personally, because I think that all it did was it just fans the flames, it just fuels the fire. And it creates circumstances where it's about winning and it's not about what it's supposed to be about governing, about everybody, about people. It became about money and power. And, you know, I don't personally believe that sending all of our money to other countries to help them in their wars was the way to go. But sometimes we need help from other factions that are looking for weaknesses to take over. Is there a simple answer? No. But what's happening now is just tragic. It's tragic. Kamala Harris did win that election. And, you know, where the votes went, how they were confiscated, I don't think we'll ever have the real answers to that. But, you know, I think what's happening now is we're all just examining, okay, where are we in the collective? What's happening? Who's going to come to our aid? Who's going to come and help us? And I don't think it's as bleak as everybody's making it out to be. First of all, I think our neighbors, you know, Mexico, Canada, I think they're going to help. I don't think they're just going to let this go and say, oh, well, you know, good luck to you guys. And that's the end of that. I don't think that's the case. But I do see civil war coming. I know you guys want to avoid it, but I can't. I have to look at it again, but I see it coming. Sometimes it's necessary. You know, there are such things as necessary evils. And I think that that's possibly one of them. I'm going to look right now at Civil War II and how imminent that situation is. Just relax and breathe, everybody. Let me take a look. Civil War II. How close are we to Civil War II? Yeah, okay. A lot of offers are going to go out there, but nobody actually believes that they're real. You know, I think everybody's just holding their breath. And everybody's kissing the ring and everybody's pretending like, okay, as long as we make him happy, you know, it'll be okay. But let me just see the timeline here. What is the timeline for a possible civil war in this country? Okay. Will civil war happen in this country again? Okay. All right, I'm going to say this. If it is to happen, it'll be because of a situation brewing inside the administration. It's not even going to be the public. It's not going to be all of us. It's going to be all of them inside these concrete walls that they're building around the White House. It's going to be jealousy amongst the family members. the administration, the people that are in there. That's where the Civil War will start. And it'll be because promises were made, people are discarded, nobody cares. And I think, people are going to start fighting, which is good. This is good. We can't just sit here and say, oh, okay, let's just let a few people fight and we'll sit here and make popcorn and watch it going on. No. If you're going to make a statement and stop being afraid. Too much fear is coming from all of my followers, all of my dubs, all of you guys. Too much fear. Too much, I'm afraid of Elon. I'm not afraid of him. I actually know a lot of the people he knows. And I'm not afraid of him at all. If he somehow discards me on this platform, do you think that I will not find another one? Come on. I'll find a way. There's always a way. But, I think he might be afraid of what I actually know. And he should be. So I'm just saying that. I have never done such a thing, and I will never be a person that takes private information out of the readings. But if you attack me and you start playing with my taxes and my income and my reputation, I will have to do what I have to do. I'm not asking for any of that. I don't get paid here on this platform, nor do I want to be. I never signed up for Stripe because I was like, I started reviewing a lot of that as a content creator, and I was like, no, I felt a year ago I did not want to give him access to all my stuff. So I made an account at Stripe and I just let it go. I never did anything with it. I'm just fine where I am. And I never made it so that people had to sign up with subscriptions in order to hear what I have to say. Yes, for your private stuff, we have private sessions, but that's been in play for decades now. So I was here when I was verified officially because of who I was, because I appeared on television, because I was a public figure, and that's why I was verified. When he started taking all that away, like, oh, well, we can't have people that are verified because of, this or that. It's, you have to pay to be verified. That's when it lost its luster. Okay. I understood that. That's fine. I only paid to have the check mark because in the beginning, I had so many people that were trying to, impersonate me. And that's been since the beginning. It didn't matter what platform I was on. So it's fine. I did that. And I have to look now at the timeline. We have to see if any of these actions that are being taken by the administration, if any legal pursuits will actually come to fruition. I'm going to look at that. And then we'll invite some questions. But let me just look to see. Let's ask one by one. Will Elon Musk ever be indicted or arrested for his participation in all this? Okay, there he is. Well, this is interesting. Remember when I said the administration, they're all going to be fighting like cats and dogs, like family members over there? He may do all this work and then be discarded because he becomes too much of a threat to Donald Trump and his people. So he may be discarded. This may come because of the VP choice, Vance. And I'm going to look to see if he's responsible for that. But I see a lot of bickering going on, like we're doing all the work and not getting any credit, and this is ridiculous. Okay. Let me just see if Vance has anything to do with this situation bubbling over. JD Vance, what is your participative role in this thing? Yeah, you know what? This is interesting. Okay. Twice now I'm seeing the end of something. And I have to see if this is the end of somebody's life or the end of like their project or whatever's going on. Let me take a look at this. Is this the end of someone's life? Is someone dying? In conjunction with this question, is someone dying? Yeah, I got to tell you, this is the third time it's coming up. Okay, we don't have years of this to go through. Let me just say that. We do not have years of suffering. The end of this situation should happen within the year 2025. The end of all of this. Okay? Now let me see who it is. Is Donald Trump going to live through till the end of 2025? Will he live through this? Yeah, again. You see, this whole ball game's going to change when people, when a life is lost. Okay, it's all fun and games now, but when someone dies, then it's like all the rats will scurry to see, what part of the legacy they can latch onto. Everybody's lamenting, oh, our situation. Like, we're all victims of this. First of all, you have a voice. I mean, so many of my followers are so afraid. Oh, what is Elon going to do to me if I stay at Twitter? That was one conversation I was in today. And I'm like, I unfollowed her. And I basically said, look, you have your own mind. You have your own voice. Nobody's going to do anything to anybody. Oh, I'm so afraid of what they already have, the information they already have. Look, if they want to do something with the information, they would have already done it. They would have already done it. So this whole thing where people are whining about being victims and, oh, the United States and, oh, what was me and whatever. First of all, we were lazy. It was on our watch as a collective that this shit happened. I'm sorry, but it was. We allowed these people to just do whatever because we didn't think that they were powerful enough to pull it off. But once money and power, those two things come together and they amalgamate and they become a force, There's not a lot that we can stop because there's a lot of people being paid off. People are unsatisfied with, the basic things like the price of eggs or how much the prices are going up for everything and how rent is just out of control. First of all, that's been going on for a while, but I don't think it's any one administration over another. But again, I'm no lover of politics. And I'm no lover of Democrats or Republicans. I just think the whole thing got out of hand. I always have. I just don't, you know, I I don't believe in either one of them being in the right. I think a new assessment has to happen. A new a new batch of rules has to come together now. Somebody has to start writing something that's indicative of what's happening. Did climate change cause like part of my city to burn down right in front of me and it was a street away from me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago? You know, maybe. But we're all supposed to be here for each other, and you know what? We were. Canada came in, they had their people flying in, their helicopters, their water. Mexico came in, they had their firefighters coming in. So I actually saw this on a local level here, and I saw them coming in and they saved us. They saved it. They got to work very quickly. So, you know, should the United States disband? Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think we are a country anymore. I think individual states have their own ideas of what's going on and how they should take care of themselves and how their problems are more important than somebody else's problems. But I think the reason for a country needs to be reexamined now. I think sending all of our money to other countries was a noble effort in the beginning. But now like, it's almost become a bribe, you know, where we need to help the Ukraine so that they can help us against Russia. First of all, I think whatever is going to happen is going to happen. No matter how much money we send overseas, no matter how much money we send to whatever faction, it's going to happen anyway. I think we've already been infiltrated. The fact that nobody can shop on various sites that ship out of China or Hong Kong, and now like anybody that did right before this decree came down, all of their items that they purchased are at risk because they're not shipping them out. They're holding them hostage. That it's because people are lazy and they're not paying attention to the world around them. It's all about their little whatever's going on with them. I I have watched, I have done an overview of a lot of different things, and I have devoted my life to trying to piece together different parts of the puzzle here. I never got married, I never had kids, and I devoted myself to this. That came with a sacrifice, guys. That wasn't just something, I decided to do because I didn't want to get married. No, I almost did 4 different times. But, I knew what I had to do. And there was nothing sad about that. I just knew that this was my role in this lifetime. So, you guys think that, oh, she'll do another spaces or whatever. The reason I have a meltdown every once in a while isn't because I need the attention. It's because people don't understand, like, this is work for me. This isn't just, I sit here with all the knowledge and I decide to share it with you. I have to actually work to look at it. So this is part of the work I do every day. I don't owe anybody this, but I think people need to wake up a little bit and realize that we're not victims, that we allowed certain things to happen within our country and around the world. And we became, we were entitled and then we weren't. And then the enemy took hold. And that was on our watch, guys. That happened because we thought it never could. Yes, Kamala Harris actually won the election. But did we factor in that things could be altered? No. Because we believed in the system, we believed in all these things. And I also believed in these things until I started looking at it. And I was like, okay, they saw a way in and they took it. And that's our fault. We let it happen. So everybody's screaming about how scared they are and how like there's nothing left or whatever. And it's COVID all over again. Yeah, it's COVID all over again because stuff has been just ignored. And we need to do the work now, guys. And there's no fear in defending ourselves. I don't know about what LA was doing in certain other cities where they're banding together and they're like, fighting, doing protest marches on the 101 here downtown. I mean, I was like, okay, first of all, that's very demonstrative. And yes, they're making a statement, but does that really do any good? No. Does it fuel a possible civil war too? Yes, it does. So I'm going to look at that real quick now. Are we definitely headed towards civil war again? Is that the only way that this is going to resolve? Okay. Will we actually go to war again with each other? You know, I have to say, Melania is coming up here again. I think trade secrets are being sold to the highest bidder, and like there's stuff going on that we don't even realize how bad it is. We all think, oh, it's so bad because we go to the store and the eggs are like so high and whatever. That's like nothing compared to what's going on in the world stage here. It's nothing. And, people are worried about these minor details when there is something so much larger looming, guys. And this is what we have to look at. We have to look at, okay, did we cause it to happen? Did we get lazy? Did we just accept the status quo? Yes, we did. The reason I woke up and wanted to do this was because, yes, I watched that video by Anonymous. And Anonymous isn't just one person, guys. That's a whole group of people that are working together to uncover the things that should be uncovered. It's not just one person, it's like a whole faction of people that come together and they're doing it quietly. And they're looking into whether or not, these things should be actually happening. If it's illegal, if it's immoral, if it's inhumane, they're looking at these things. It's not just some group that's looking to get hits on their website. They're actually looking at, like actual systems being deconstructed and whether or not we even have a system to live within anymore. So I looked at that video and the things they were saying. Normally I skip the whole anonymous thing, but I was actually guided to that by my spirit guides because I never even watched those things. But I watched it and I was like, you know what? They're on to something because that was the same dream I had a couple of nights ago. A lot of the things they were saying in that video. So I said, all right, well, there's a reason I'm looking at it. So I am not afraid. And I need you guys to not be afraid anymore. Every day I wake up and I come on this feed and everybody's telling me how afraid they are. No more of that. No more. We each have to do whatever we can do. If it's as small as just helping your neighbor, help your neighbor. Carry in their groceries or help them if they're not able to do something. It can be as small as that, or it can be as large as, people are saying, oh, call your congressman or whatever. First of all, they're avoiding those calls and they're just letting them come into the switchboard and they're hanging up. And that doesn't do anything. The things that will actually cause a difference here are the legal system will be able to shut some of this down. But I also see that I don't know if Donald Trump is going to make it through this thing. This year, let me see if I can get a month. What month will this happen, this event occur? Because I was shown 4 times tonight, 4 times. It wasn't just the end of something, it was the end of someone. So let me just see. Is Donald Trump's life coming to a close? Is he at his exit point? There's the 5th time. He's at the end. And I think he knows he's at the end. I think he's been told by his spirit guides. Even people like that have spirit guides. Okay. Sometimes people listen to them, sometimes they ignore them. But I think he knows. I think he knows. So he's trying to do as much grandstanding as possible before he checks out. Let me look at J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, will he step up and be anything or anybody, or will he step in? J.D. Vance. Okay, there he is. Again, I think he's amenable to working this out with everybody once it happens. Like he's standing in the shadows right now, but he's willing to work it out. He's willing to work out all the details when it does happen. So I think for him it's more of a pinnacle point in his career that he was able to attain vice president or whatever. I think this is the only way he would have been vice president, honestly. And I think that he understands that and he is willing to work with people once this happens. I personally see that he is afraid of the powers that be. He doesn't seem like a person that would be. Like his personality doesn't come across as somebody who's afraid of anybody. But I think he's personally afraid, and that's why he steps back. I think he steps back and does the few things he's told to do. And I think he's just watching now. He's a watcher. I think he's also been in touch with various people from the Democratic Party. I think he's been in talks with people behind the scenes. No one will ever know. It's all in secret. But then again, this whole administration has been secretive. So, um, this it's so funny how Donald Trump and Elon Musk were proclaiming, "Oh, it's going to be all transparent now. It's all going to be out there for everybody to see." None of it has been out there. The only things that are out there, the details that are out there, are the ones that they want us to know or the things that they need to manipulate. That's the only thing that's been out there. None of this is transparent. None of it. It's all smash and grab as much as they can before they check out. Did Trump do this in order to avoid prison time with his other situations? That was part of it, but it wasn't the whole reason. I mean, he wants to leave a legacy. I do not think he is well. I think his health is a big issue here, and I've seen it 5 times in tonight's read that I don't think he's got a lot of time left, and I think he's doing whatever he can before he checks out. I think the people that are surrounding him are also aware of his health issues. So they're patient with him in a way. They're just waiting as well. So, will he be the guy to lead us out? I mean, Biden was definitely the wrong choice at the time because of his age and what was going on. He had issues with his brain function, and should any one person be in charge of all of it? No, not at this point in history. And I don't think any one party or one nation, or I think we should look as a global, like across the world, what's going on. And we should all figure out across the world how the hell we're going to let this planet survive. This planet is not doing well. We've all become so, we're in the microcosm of all these little details we concern ourselves with every day when we wake up. We have to have our certain kind of coffee, our certain kind of creamer, our certain, and I'm guilty of it too. So everybody's concerned with their problems and their family and their issues. And they just feel like the rest of it, is taken care of. No, it died on our watch, guys. And it's only us that can make it happen again. All of us have to get involved at some level, whether it's just helping out your neighbor when you wake up and make sure they're okay, or checking in with somebody, making sure they're good, or whatever it is. But this attention grabbing, money grabbing, complaining, bitching and moaning every day. I'm so tired of coming online and seeing all this stuff. That's one of the reasons I backed off. It was one of the reasons I backed off. And I'm like, I'm not a source of entertainment here. I am telling you guys, and I'm issuing a warning. This is happening. And, we all have to sort of band together and help each other. And you know what? The spirit is still there. Canada and Mexico came to the aid of us when our city was on fire. They rushed in. They didn't care what they were being paid. They just cared that we were in trouble. And I was scared. I don't get scared very often, but I was scared that night. And I saw this vision of angels above my bed. And I'm like, okay, you're saving my building, but what about the rest of this? And it's not about just, we have the best city, we have the most affluent, um, state in the union. It's not about any of that. It's about the fact that what I remember is like people were helping other people, and they didn't care what they were being paid. They just cared about putting the fires out. And like everything, all the history here is gone. Like a lot of it is just gone. All the things we grew up with, they're gone. So it kind of makes you take a look at it, doesn't it? You take a look at these things and you go, well, okay, so what's really important? And it's what I said. When you wake up in the morning, it's not about, you need to pray, you need to go to church, you need to, no, no. You need to help the person that's next door that is out of food and you have to give them some. Or they have pets and they're not able to feed them and you have to help them. Or you see that certain people are scared and you just need to check in with them. You just need to call them and ask them if they're okay. That little bit will raise the collective consciousness enough where we will survive this. Even if our illustrious leader dies, okay? Even if he passes away and all this changes by the end of this year, 2025, even if it all changes, you'll still be remembered for helping that neighbor in the morning, for making somebody smile when they're just sad all day. And you say something to them that makes them smile and makes them laugh. That's what counts. That's what you're going to be remembered for. Not what election you voted. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So, do we need universal health care? To a degree, we do. I'm not a socialist. I don't think any one of these ideals or any one of these this framework we put certain ideals into, are the answer. I think it's a combination of all of it. Yes, we're a capitalist country, but that didn't happen overnight. I have a friend here that I read, and she and I were going at it because she was all about Trump, and she still is. And we don't talk about him. We don't talk about him. I still read her. We're still very good friends. And she works in pharmaceuticals. And, she, we decided that our friendship was more important than any of this other nonsense. So, it was more about, hey, how are you doing today? Are you okay? How's your boyfriend? How's that go? That kind of thing. You guys need to start checking in with each other. I don't want to hear any more complaints. I don't want to hear how everybody's scared anymore. There is something little that all of you can do on your own. Okay? How much money you have is not the answer to your problems. It never has been. I mean, people don't know this, but I'm in the middle of a lawsuit with my family right now. I mean, I have been since my mother died, but nobody knows that. Nobody knows any of that because it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is what I'm saying right now to you guys. That's what matters. And I think that money and power have a strong hold on a great number of the people in this nation. And a lot of people are coming to the realization that those things don't solve anything, and it doesn't make you happy in the end. It doesn't make you more lovable. It doesn't make you more attractive. In fact, it detracts from who you are and what you're meant to do. Okay, I've been on my soapbox here the whole time. All right, let's take a question from somebody who wants to ask a question out of you guys. Just give me a request and I'll put you on if I know who you are. Um, give me a request and ask a question and we'll see what we can see. Does anybody have any questions? Or should I just keep going? Just let me know. Hold on. Okay. First, Catherine. Hey, so
So
sorry to go on and on and on, but I think a
no, that's
lot of that.
okay. Actually, your point is very valid as far as people do need to look. I mean, personally, I've had two surgeries this past week. So yes, I've been very appreciative of people who have checked in on me and to make sure that I'm doing okay. So
And
yes, you're
how
right.
long? And again, how long did that take them to check in? What, 2 minutes out of their day?
I
But
mean,
you know what? It means the world to you that you're going
absolutely.
through your thing. You know.
Absolutely. And I've been absolutely floored by some of the people who have reached out to me. So yes, absolutely. It's very important that we look out after each other. I agree with that wholeheartedly. My question, well, I had a couple questions. So the Civil War, quote unquote,
Mhm.
when do you see this chaos happening? And I was going to ask too earlier before you started talking about Vance, where has he been? I mean, is he just like hiding in the wings or
Well, I
what
don't
is
think he's hiding so much as he's being observant. I think he's like the silent watcher,
uh-huh.
and I don't think it's like some sort of I think he feels like the luckiest guy in the world to land the VP position number 1. I think he feels like that never would have happened in any other combination of ways in the universe
Okay.
except for the way that it did.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's appreciative of that.
Okay.
And so I think he's but I also see the fear inside of him. Like I think he has a real fear of Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I think those two individuals scare the hell out of him. And I
Hmm.
think that he's very bravado, and a lot of his um, a lot of his outward, appearances, he just doesn't care and he speaks his mind. But I think his arrogance comes from a place of fear. I think he feels like if I don't continue barking like a dog, that these people might attack me and take away the tiny little victory that I got being named VP.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's more of a silent watcher. I also see him in covert meetings with other people behind the scenes that are not Republican, but it goes across the board. I think he takes meetings with very important power players,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he knows the importance of doing so. I think he's securing a position for himself no matter what happens.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the answer to him.
Okay.
Okay. As far as the timing on the Civil War thing, let me just look to see if there's a month where it looks heightened for me. Just relax and breathe. Let me look at the month. And I'm glad you're okay enough to talk to me tonight. Thank you. Um, Catherine has been a client for a long time, guys. All right, so let me look to see what is our timing on Civil War as far as like when does it hit a danger point? Okay. Okay. Right now, everybody's distracted with many things more than they are with fighting. I think it's more like everybody's just afraid that they're not going to be able to live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when does this hit a danger point and boil over? Let me ask that question. When, what month this year will this boil over? Okay. It's between now and a month from now is probably our biggest danger point.
Okay.
This is where we find out which men are men and women are women. This is where we're going to see where this thing filters out. Because right now, everybody's just scared. And so, people are acting out like people who are not, people are afraid they're going to be deported or, they're going to lose their jobs
Yeah.
or, I mean, everybody is just on hold, embracing themselves. I'm
Uh,
one of the few lucky people that has made my own
niche.
situation forever and ever. So I never worked for anybody, but I worked for the universe. So it ended up that I never worried about what was coming in because I knew the universe would always take care of it and that I would always have more than I need. And nobody is more thankful than I am. Um, but I am 1% of people that could live like that.
Right.
And I understand that people have bills and they need to have a certain amount coming in every month and whatever. I'm not negating that, but at the same point, if you keep putting that out in the universe every single day that you only have so much money and you need that amount to make it if you keep putting that message out, well then that's all you'll ever have.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to do it the way I'm doing it a little bit, where you wake up every day and you just know that the universe is going to take care of it. Somehow, some way, this is going to happen, and that your opportunities are going to come in from out of nowhere. We're coming into the age of Aquarius where things will happen out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone will call that was so unexpected, or some opportunity will come around the corner that you never thought in a million years would happen.
Yep.
And that's what's going to happen. So to concentrate only on getting that little bit that you need each month to pay your landlord or to pay your bills or your taxes or any of this other nonsense, that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to say that I will always have more than I need.
Right.
I've been saying that for decades.
Mm.
I don't know how, but it's always going to work.
Yep. It does.
I will always have more than I need. And then the second part of it is that you're grateful for it.
Yeah. Of course.
And you have to just believe it's going to happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other recourse right now.
I agree.
People are scared. People are frightened that everything that they know is going away,
Mm.
and it's it's yeah, it's true that Trump said, "Oh, it's only going to be for a little while." That's true that it will only be for a little while, but what he doesn't realize is that he will no longer be part of this.
Mm.
So it was a wake up call, guys. That's what this was.
Yeah. I think so.
As far as the timing, our danger point right now is between now and about 6 weeks from now.
Okay.
We're in the danger zone right now.
Yeah.
This is where the fear is the greatest.
Yeah.
So, again, the least little bit you can do is check on each other. Okay. All right, Catherine, be good. Let me know later what happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Will do.
Okay, hon. All right. So, who else do we have? We have Seer. You needed a question?
Hey, thank you for taking the call. And I want to make sure that we show our gratitude for you because you could be laying on the couch right now, you could be relaxing, you would still have the knowledge. You don't need to do this, and I really appreciate your
Well,
being
and
willing
the
to do it.
reason I put boundaries up is because I said I would do that for myself this year. So, like, if I don't answer you guys on social media, it's because of that. I have a lot of people pulling at me, and I need to back up a little bit. So, and right now I'm offering specials on all of my sessions for God knows how long, and I have to work twice as much now. So for my own thing over here, so like I'm worse. I'm actually doing twice as many readings now, but it's fine. It'll always be fine because I love doing this. But I just don't have time. I don't have time to like go into social media and play around.
I totally understand, and I just want to be appreciative. And this is your personal time, this is your personal life, and I just want to express that gratitude. I do have a question from someone else who's not on Twitter as well,
Yeah.
Kiki. She was asking about health, whether you still saw health. And I guess what the bigger question is Trump, is his sudden leaving will that wind up being a health issue, an outside assassination issue? Um, how does that come to pass? Because she had a question about health, and then I have a different question if you have time.
All right. Let me take a look. Relax and breathe. Let me just see. Donald Trump. Is the exit point I see coming up? Is this about a sudden health issue that comes to pass? Is this someone else that intercedes and takes your life? It's weird. I keep getting the answer. It's both. Hold on. Let me. Maybe that's why he's not worried. Like he knows he's going anyway, so he might as well go out with a big bang, so to speak. Let me just look. Let me look at the reason for Donald Trump's exit this lifetime. Show me his exit. Show me the exit window. What is the reason for this? Ah, it's definitely happening, guys. Sixth time I'm saying it tonight. It's definitely happening. I would have to say by the time we get to April 1st, we're in the zone. Okay. So something is happening soon. Um, his health is poor, but let me see. When he takes his last breath, what is the reason? What is the reason Donald Trump takes his last breath? Karma. That's that's the only thing I'm going to say. Karma is the reason that he is leaving. Karma. Can you show me who it is that is responsible? Remember on a previous Spaces, I said something about I see Hillary and I see Obama. I see both of them. I am telling you, I'm not going to say, like, you know, if it should become necessary, then take the hit. It's not okay. It's not as simple as that. But they will be damned if they don't protect this country. Everybody is a criminal, everybody is this, everybody's that. I mean, everybody's got their argument for every single politician has committed a crime in one way or another. That may be true, but there are some crimes that are more egregious than others. So in the world of politics, I don't think anybody is completely innocent of such a thing. I think if you go into the world of politics, you know that you got to be able to play ball. And sometimes playing ball means you do the wrong thing. But there are certain people that have, they cannot have as their compass, as their moral compass, you know, like they can't take the high road every single time because they're playing with criminals on the other side of it. They're going up against some very evil players, very evil souls in this lifetime. They have to know how to deal evil versus evil. They have to know that game and they have to know how to play it well. So there's an argument to be had for every single one of these players that I've mentioned has committed some sort of crime. Yes, they have. But there are those that are willing to forego their own legacy and their own sense of fame and how it will go down in history in order to try to make things better, in order to try to improve upon a system that's already broken. So I think that's what they're playing with right now. So I honestly see Hillary Clinton and I see Obama like in the mix. Are they calling the shots? Yeah, some of them. So it doesn't matter who the president is or what administration is at the foreground right now, because power players will be power players and certain people will always have power. It doesn't matter who's running things, because there's backroom talk and handshake deals and stuff is going on behind the scenes we don't know anything about. But I'm telling you, those two people are coming into my viewfinder here. Will they order a certain individual to be put down if things are truly become evil? Um, no, but I think that they will lead it towards, if it becomes dangerous for the world at large and there's a civil war or possible nuclear war that's about to ensue, yeah, they're going to step in and they don't give a shit. And you know what? I'm glad that there are souls like that don't care, that they will do it in order to set things right. So I'm okay with that. I don't know if you guys are, but I'm actually okay with that because
Mhm.
somebody has to step up and do something.
Yeah, I'm glad of that, that there is somebody willing to do that. Do you see, you had alluded to the Civil War is really going to be more the government factions fighting each other.
Yeah, I almost see, like, it's almost like they're brother against brother inside their own little their compound there, you
That's
know?
good. No, that's good because it's too divided. It's too. So I'm actually okay with that. Do you see a point where, whether it's through, well, I guess Elon right now, but where government services shut down in such a way that it actually, because there's half the population afraid, the other half believing that it's all gonna, we don't need to do anything, and still be complacent about it. I guess I'm wondering whether we will get to the point where we will all have to be affected to some degree before whatever
Well, I
changes.
think that's happening now. That's what I said about the between now and 6 weeks from now. It appears that this is what we're looking at. This is, um, the
You see a chaotic period.
well, I just see it being, it seems to be starting out of a sense of, um, not so much fear, but people are just done. So that's what seems to be happening. They're just done. It seems to happen from that. And it's almost like every promise that was ever made will be broken. Every person that made a statement, it'll be the opposite, and now it's just a matter of, like I said before, take care of your neighbor, take care of your family, take care of somebody you actually love. That will be remembered more right now. As far as, will we have any sort of government that's actually functioning? Let me look. Let me look. Okay. Well, the power mongering will be stopped. That looks like that gets shut down almost when their iconic leader is taken down, or he exits. Um, okay. Wow. I know I'm on this platform, but let me just say that, there looks to be a situation with Elon that he's not expecting, and it's not very pleasant. It's almost like he does all this, and at the end of it, I see the rug being pulled out from under him. So I don't know if he stays here in this country. I'm just going to make that statement. I see him traveling elsewhere. I don't know if he stays. Maybe he goes somewhere else to build his space program or something. Maybe he goes to Iran or Saudi Arabia or something to build his space station stuff. And concentrate on that. But I don't see him here. That's what's weird. It's almost like he's being exiled. After all this, he is being exiled. And I don't really care what happens to Twitter or X or whatever. Someone will be stepping in to buy it, I'm sure.
Hmm.
Mark Cuban had expressed interest. Maybe it's him. Um, all I'm saying is that, this year is pivotal. We're stepping into the age of Aquarius, which means everything will come out of nowhere. It'll be unexpected happenings, unexpected timing, things that you never in a million years thought would happen will happen. So it's not the first time in history where the world was turned upside down, you know, in order to start fresh. Let's look at Pompeii. Let's look at Rome, the Roman Empire. Let's look at, just every time this has happened where, the Ice Age, where things had to balance out. There is sheer imbalance right now that needs to be corrected. And that will happen no matter who of us is in charge. So this year is pivotal, guys, and you're living in a time of history where history will be written. So remember to check in on each other. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions before we wrap it up? Anybody else have something they'd like to ask? Because we covered a lot, and I said, what I had to say, but I'm sure that's why you guys tuned in to hear my ramblings. Um, Again, I don't want to hear any of you telling me how scared you are anymore, because we're all little warriors. Okay, all of us. You can be a warrior on your home turf. Okay, with just like one other person that you care about. Just make sure you check in on them and make sure they're okay, because that will be rewarded by the universe. I guarantee you. I say that with every fiber of my being. You will be okay. Don't complain about how much money you don't have, or how the economy is crushing you, or I don't want to hear any of that anymore, because you know what? Just tell the universe, ask the universe kindly to make it so that you will always have more than you need. And it will happen. It's funny. I'll tell this last story before I sign off. I had a friend named Michael, and he was a design person, and his boyfriend, I had predicted, like he had just met him, but he wasn't sure whether or not, and he was from Germany, and I remembered reading about this with him, and we were doing readings around the dinner table, just like we do. And I wasn't doing a formal reading, I was just doing a little reading for him. And he said, well, do you think I'll stay with him or whatever? And I said, you'll be with him as a partner forever, but your relationship, it'll be about a decade. And then you'll just be friends after that. But you'll still work together. You'll still be together. And sure enough, that exact thing happened. They were together as a couple for 10 years, and they built a design firm. Now they make millions of dollars. They've done like so many celebrities' homes and whatever here in Los Angeles. And he's actually my oldest friend in Los Angeles. And I remembered when that happened, and they still remain friends. They're both in relationships outside of that now. And, you know, nothing scary. But I remembered when he was asking me about a money issue because he was having problems, and he wasn't even really sure if he was going to make it and or be able to pay rent that month. And I said, Michael, I'm going to teach you something. You wake up every day and you go to bed every night, and what you say to the universe is, I will always have more than I need. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know exactly the circumstances, how this is going to come about, but I will always have more than I need. And now he's a millionaire. So I'm going to just finish with that story. And trust me, he didn't have $300 to pay his rent that month. He needed 300. So it happens. So no more talk from you guys. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to read it. You guys are all going to ask the universe for that same thing. And I want to hear the testimonials about how it came about for each one of you. Okay? You will always have more than you need. Always. All right, you guys. Love you all. I have set boundaries, but I never leave. Okay, I only take a little break. That's how I am. Um, but I will be with you next time. I'll upload this to the platform shortly, and you guys can stop in and listen again. But thank you for stopping by for the live. Again, nobody's going to be afraid anymore. You guys are all going to help each other. Every time you start to sense that you're afraid, figure out who you need to call and check in on. That'll stop you from being afraid. It's going to be fine. We were all born, we were all born at this time to come into this particular situation in history. So remember that this is a role we're playing. We are not victims of it. And we all can propel this into where we need it to be. Change is happening, yes, but it will be a good one as long as we stay vigilant. Okay. All right, you guys. Love you much, and I will talk to you next time. Okay. Bye bye.